Hey folks, today we are talking about marketing your reader magnet. This is the first of two videos on this topic. In this one, we're talking about inexpensive or free methods of marketing it. And in the next one, we're going to talk about paid marketing. We'll be talking about how to run Facebook ads for your reader magnet. But I really do feel like all books that you have, you should have some free marketing component you're doing for them. Or maybe not all books, all series at the very least, because not every book can have that. Although maybe short term during releases and whatnot, every book can. And there's a number of different ways of doing this, and they have varying levels of success. But the idea with a reader magnet is you're just trying to build your mailing list and you're trying to funnel more people into your series with something that's inexpensive for you to promote and inexpensive for them to get into and judge your story, judge your writing style and your storytelling and decide if it's for them or not. So some easy ones are newsletter swaps. Now, I know a lot of times we think about newsletter swaps and you're like, oh, I only made like 10 sales or 2 sales or 1 sale or something like that. But it also has the low price of free attached to it. It doesn't cost you anything. And it gets your name in front of people, an additional time. It takes like 5 to 7 times for people to see you, see your brand, see your message, and for that sort of to wear them down. So they first glance at it, they're like, that looks interesting. Next time they're like, huh, I saw that before, it looked interesting. Maybe I'll read the headline now. And then in the next time, like, oh, I guess I'll click. I've got some time. Let's see what the book is about. It takes multiple exposures to get them to the point where they actually click buy. And if you can get some of those initial exposures for free, then that's fantastic. Even if people don't convert right away, you're still working on getting those exposures in. Maybe you get a share with author XYZ this month. Next month, you get a share with author ABC. And they're like, oh, well, both author XYZ and ABC have recommended this book. Maybe it's worth actually giving a shot, where if you just did one or none, you wouldn't get that going for you. So that can really have a powerful impact on how likely people are to make a purchase decision down the road. So do not discount these free options. Swaps, maybe putting into an anthology, so long as they don't require any sort of exclusivity, and aren't going to put it in KU, because you want to keep this up on BookFunnel for free. And that's actually, I don't think I've said that up until now in this series, but that's really where your reader magnet needs to live, on BookFunnel. It shouldn't really be on Amazon long term. I would not put it up there myself long term. Like I said, I might tuck it into an anthology periodically, provided that's not in KU and not exclusive. But it really should be up on BookFunnel with required email address for getting that book. That's your trade, right? You're trading someone their email address for an hour of entertainment. It's a very reasonable trade. I don't think anyone should feel bad doing that. I think it's a perfectly fair offer to make someone, and of course they can decline if they want. Other options are you can use group promos and whatnot on both BookFunnel and Story Origin to get your book in more people's hands. And you could even do things like, if you really wanted to just like spread the word, you could put up on Wattpad, or something along those lines to get some more exposure. Because it is, I view them as primarily list building tools, but they are also exposure building tools. So you can decide how you want to slice that up, insofar as the attention you want to give it. When you do swaps with someone, give them a short blurb to use with it, because they might look for it on Amazon and not find it. So give them a short blurb, something like no more than 100 words long, or maybe give them two options, something 50 words long, something 100 words long. But make sure you've got a solid tagline on that. Your tagline is the most important thing, and make sure they use it. Say like, here's my cover, here's my tagline. If you use nothing else, I would appreciate if you use that. And maybe say like, hey, it's really short. If you like this stuff, you might want to read it. Don't pressure them to read your book, but like say like, hey, it only takes an hour to read. You might be game to read this story, so you can give it a better recommendation to your readers. Because if they have a personal, I read this recommendation for their readers, that's definitely a lot better than just sort of throwing it in their newsletter with a quick snippet. If you haven't done swaps before, they don't have to be exclusive. If you do swap someone, your email where you're promoting their book doesn't need to be exclusive. You could be talking about some of the things you normally talk in there and say, oh, and hey, by the way, this author friend of mine or this other author I know has this book. I think it's pretty cool. I read it. I love it. Or it's on sale. Or it seems like it fits in the genre. If you like my stuff, it's in the same genre. You might enjoy reading. Be honest. whether, don't say you've read it if you haven't read it and so on, because you want to make it clear um, about whether or not you've actually read a book that you're promoting, because you don't want people to think you're recommending it because you've read it and then they don't like it and they're like, wow, this person has terrible taste or something like that. You want to make sure that you're being very transparent with what you're doing, but you can get a lot of exposure that way. You've got a couple authors you hit that have 10, 20,000 people on their list. You could get yourself 100,000 people worth of exposure for free. It's just going to take you a little bit of legwork. And also, when you're going for swaps and that sort of thing, um, don't be afraid to ask. I know a lot of times you don't want to ask, but what's the worst they could do? I mean, the worst they could do is ignore you. Okay, maybe the worst they could do is send you an angry email, but that never happens. The worst that ever happens is they ignore you. The second worst is they just say no, it's not a good fit or something like that. And a lot of times they'll say yes. I actually a lot of times will say yes to smaller authors because many times they have very engaged newsletters, and those people will definitely take that author's suggestions. Whereas, like, if someone's got like 20, 30,000 people on their list, chances are the majority of those people aren't very engaged, and you can do much better with an author with a smaller list in some cases. So do think about that. Do keep that in mind. And then the last thing is promotions. You can do some places will do book funnel promotions. I think Free Booksy will do them. You could look around and see what's available in your genre. I'm talking about paid newsletter promotion things where these people have their own paid newsletters that you can get into. See if there's any out there that will take a free book on BookFunnel and run it. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but it never hurts to ask and go from there. And of course, other thing too is your website should be having that reader magnet front and center. There should be a pop-up about that reader magnet. Hey, want to make a swap? Your email address for my cool book about XYZ. Definitely do that. So those are your things you should be always doing. They're always, every month you should be trying to do some sort of thing to get that reader magnet in someone's hands for a very low cost on your part, just to constantly and continually be building new awareness of your writing. All right, next video, we're going to be talking about how to use Facebook ads to bolster that effort. We'll see you there.